could sit here for a couple hours and make you guys really hungry and tired, but tell you the stories of the ways God intervened. Let me share with you just one that I'm extremely excited about right now, because it kind of just came full circle. There, we obviously need churches and people to support us financially, and there's one man from Texas. His name is Daryl, and he, I'm just going to read this if that's okay, because it's really better than me trying to kind of stumble through it. I'm going to read his little blog that he wrote. Sitting in a worship gathering at a local church in Dallas, I was unexpectedly met with the figure of a tall, handsome African man standing to speak to the congregation. And this is about 20 years ago, just to give you a little context. His attire was traditional African, white, and flowing to the ground. There must have been some kind of fan blowing near him on the platform, because his robe seemed to move freely as he spoke. That night I walked away with a burning desire to begin praying for the nation of Burkina Faso. Honestly, I had never heard of the nation. Praying for a nation other than my own was a new concept to me, but one I was prepared to engage. Knowing the difficulty I have focusing on prayer, I purchased a world map and hung it in my bedroom. Yeah, that sounds kind of familiar. Mm-hmm. Each night, I'd look at the map and focus on Burkina Faso. I prayed for the believers, for the pastors, and for the unbelievers. I prayed for the poor, the sick, and especially for the orphans. I prayed for pastors, and on and on and on. He goes. He wondered, if he would ever get to travel to Burkina. The idea seemed so unrealistic to me, especially in the early years of prayer. I wasn't even convinced that I should ever go. Perhaps my part was to faithfully pray while others would go. Teachings on prayer and intercession for the nations intensified the level of prayer, leading to an increasing desire to travel to Burkina Faso to meet the people for whom I had been interceding. Nearly 20 years later, through a God-ordained moment of crossing paths with John Roberts of Heal the World, the time had come, and this was at the AIDS conference that Saddleback puts on.
That's where I met
every
John.
year. Is that where you met
Yeah.
John too? So he met him there, and they both had this desire to help this country of Burkina Faso. I'll never forget the first steps on the ground of Burkina after landing in Ouagadougou. Overwhelmed with emotion and gratitude, the journey intensified. Now, praying and serving was the path Christ had compelled me towards, opening doors all the way to make the dream possible. The faces, the names, the smells, the sounds, the landscapes and sunsets. Like a dream, I found myself quietly taking it all in, putting sight to what I had been praying for so long, 20 years. Seeing the evidence of God at work in the people, and also hearing the cry for more. The needs so obviously great, and yet I experienced an inner confidence that God not only allows us to hear the cry of the needy, but will also provide the resources to meet those needs. So we did what we could with the resources we have been given, and returned with a greater call to tell others of our journey and the great opportunity to come along. Perhaps now, the challenge is to continue praying, and with even more passion and confidence, while looking for ways to partner with others to bring hope and life to the beautiful people of Burkina. That is so meaningful to me today. This was written on December 18, 2008. And Daryl is a pastor that plants churches in Texas, and has brought on many churches to help us financially. Just this past week, Daryl decided that God was pulling his heart so desperately towards Burkina Faso and our projects that he is basically giving up what he's doing in order to join us full time. And so he's now the he's now the fourth full-time staff member, just statewide, and then we have the five teachers also in Ouagadougou, and so it just warms my heart to know all the ways that God is leading us, and it's like he's building this infrastructure for us, and he just wants our hands and our hearts to, to do the work. It's amazing how God does that. How he wants us, even though he could do everything so perfectly himself, he asks us, kind of bumbling, stumbling, humans that have so many faults, to do the work for him, and that's the beauty of being led by God, and that's kind of my story of being on the brink of death to despite 24/7 pain, God has put this desire in my heart that is not of my own. I'm not a saint by any means, but God is good, and and he is going to continue to bless us. So I want to end with kind of what I always hear kind of John saying in my ear. Individually, we are nothing, but together we can heal the world.